morning. Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Chad Braithwaite Show. Mark Maxwell, Mike Stewart, R.W. Arms, Fort Worth's own R.W. Arms. Everybody's kind of been up in arms, no pun intended, of this whole change to bump stock legislation and how it's an infringement of the Second Amendment. I personally never had a bump stock. Bump stocks, of course, got a lot of press, and everybody started blaming bump stocks when things like the Vegas shooting back in October of, what was that, 17? Is that October of 17 or 18?
17.
Yeah. So yeah, that's right. October 1st, 2017, the Route 91 Music Festival, the Mandalay Bay, the shooting that happened, and apparently the guy used bump stocks. A lot of questions that are there. A lot of questions. We'll never know because they quit investigating it, and they quit telling anybody what happened. But President Trump comes out, and everybody I know disagrees with him when he says, okay, we're going to ban bump stocks. And, well, the guys I got sitting here today, Mark and Mike, there's a lot of M's going on here. Mark Maxwell, Mike Stewart, Mark and Mike. Not only is their claim to fame as us having some fun in Vegas at the last SHOT Show back in January and making sure that town ran out of booze, but they have RW Arms, which I said is based in Fort Worth, Texas. I want to read this press release before we get in it. I'll start making you guys talk. RW Arms, a wholesale distributor and retailer of firearm accessories and components, including high-capacity magazines, performance triggers, scopes, and parts for semi-automatic rifles. And let me tell you, you guys said it. You said, we appreciate the support we've received and thank you for your business. As a small 100% veteran-owned and operated company, we value your loyalty and cherish the Second Amendment. RW Arms will continue to bring leading and innovating products to the marketplace. Why do you guys matter? Well, you matter because, and correct me, and I know you'll correct me because there's things legally you can say and legally you can't say, but you guys basically had control of all bump stock sales in the country.
Correct.
So your business has been hugely affected. I mean, you guys do a lot of different things, but having that bump stock thing, tell me, let's start about the most recent happenings. You guys had to get rid of some bump stocks.
Yeah, we sure did.
Let's talk about that.
About 73,000 of them.
Yep, just over 73,000.
So were those ones that y'all had in stock?
That was all in inventory.
Yeah.
That we had to destroy.
And I know in the press release, you guys talk about filing suit saying, hey, if the federal government's going to tell us we can't sell this product, that it's now federal illegality, you're breaking the law to sell this or even own it.
Or even possess it.
Absolutely. Even look at it, touch it.
Making gun owners, legal gun owners, felons overnight.
Yeah.
Because of a plastic stock and not because of legislation, but because the rule was changed.
Yeah. But you guys are seeking a reward. I mean, not a reward, but you're like, you should be paid back for that.
Absolutely. It's clear Second Amendment overreach. Everyone knows that. I think there may be a little bit misunderstanding in that it's also a Fifth Amendment issue here. That's a clear takings issue. It's not just about future loss. What this is really about is what the current loss was for us as a company.
Yeah.
So.
Well, if they can do that, what else can they do? I mean, what if they say, okay, guns are legals, but triggers are not? We're going to take all triggers. All triggers are now illegal.
Well, obviously, that slippery slope talking point is always there. Bump stocks are first, binary triggers, performance triggers. What is it next? Is
Scopes.
it high-capacity magazine?
No, scopes.
Scopes.
They make you more accurate.
And then
Make you
increase
kill
your
better.
vision for longer shoots?
Right.
I mean, what else is it?
Well, and that's the deal. I mean, you guys, and I love it because, by the way, you guys are building some rifles for us right now with some tricked out, like it's going to be, I want mine on hydraulics, to pop up and down, like a car in the barrio, just doom, doom, doom. I want a little radio on my rifle and everything. Let's just trick the thing out.
Yeah,
Satellite radio.
will.
I want to be able to listen to Howard Stern while I shoot my targets. But no, I mean, that's people don't understand. There's a recreational aspect to shooting.
Correct.
Hot News Natalie, her husband and brother-in-law have DFW Gun Sports. They're building the Texas Gun Experience, where you can go into an indoor range in Grapevine, Texas, and shoot a selection of 200 machine guns. It's fun. We talked about Vegas. You can go out there and you can shoot machine guns. You can drive tanks. You can, there's elements of fun and recreation, all this stuff.
Absolutely.
And things like a bump stock. Now, I can't hit the side of a barn with a bump stock on a rifle. I've never have been able to because it's a different motion of having to push against the gun rather than pulling the gun into you. You know what I mean? So I always looked at a bump stock as saying it really kind of makes you less accurate.
You can if you don't know what you're doing. Sure.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah. But it is. It's fun either way. It's
Yeah.
just like I said, just taking out a 22 and blinking. It's a bump stock. You're going out and shooting fast. It's
Yeah. That's what we used to do in college. You know, in college, we weren't allowed to have guns on campus, but we did. Because, it was a long time ago. We're way past the statute of limitations. Kick me out. Kick me out of school. I'm done with you. But no, we'd go down to the train tracks down in the woods, and we'd had our little 22 with the banana magazine, and we'd start firing away at things, just plinking stuff, and we had a blast. We weren't hurting anybody. We weren't shooting at anybody. We weren't taking risks or anything.
those guns didn't hurt anybody, did they?
No, never.
And those
Never.
guns in Vegas,
Yeah,
it wasn't the guns.
right.
Everybody's talking about these bump stocks and guns. It's not the guns. It's the idiot behind them.
Yeah,
We need to be talking about the mental health. Why is this idiot doing it?
yeah.
Again, you put those guns in that room without him there, there's nothing that happens.
Yeah, then you just have a stockpile of guns sitting in a hotel room at Mandalay Bay.
And nothing happens.
They're not going to climb up. The guns didn't break the window out. The guns didn't fire down on these folks enjoying a concert. They didn't fire down on these people playing the concert. They didn't do it. But I'll ask you, we had our buddy Colin Noir on the other day, and different ones I've asked, the Vegas thing. Did the guy act alone? What's y'all's opinion on that deal?
We're too close to the situation.
I was going to say, you can't even answer, can you?
We have been instructed very clearly not to answer any questions. We cannot speculate at all.
I love this. This is what makes us a real show. When we have no answers. That's what I love.
What we can do is talk about the what we saw. We will both tell you there were bump stocks on rifles in the photographs.
Yeah.
There still isn't anything in the report, any police report, that those rifles that were photographed there on the floor were ever used. Ballistics were never matched up, never even talked about. So as far as we know, now that report may exist, but we don't know about it.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, and this is apart from RW Arms. This is Chad's opinion, okay? Here's the thing. If you got a dude, like I've seen some pretty interesting speculations on what could have gone down that night. I had a lot of friends who were both at the concert and on stage at the concert. And so I've heard the perspective of all of that. So, and we've talked to folks. We've had folks on the show who were on stage there. I woke up the morning. I was headed to L.A. that morning. I got up at 3 a.m. to get to an early flight, Dallas-Fort Worth, and I always just look at Twitter first because it's the quickest thing if something's going on, and I'm getting text messages from people saying, hey, just so you know, we're okay. And I'm like, what the hell happened? And I start looking at Twitter, and I see that this thing has gone down. And so I spent the entire morning on the phone with people who were part of that or survived that or came real close to getting hurt in that. But back to my opinion, is I just don't see how a single guy can go in there from those two vantage points of two different windows and shoot down on people in that short a period of time, thousands of rounds a minute without barrels melting down. And I mean, this guy had a bipod on one gun, and it's like nothing. If you know anything about gun use and rifle use, it just doesn't make sense.
Correct.
And then the whole thing gets buried up the way that it does, and it's just crazy. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I say that all the time, and then I start espousing conspiracy theories. But, it's weird when you start looking at things like this.
Oh, yeah.
So why did it get buried? Why? What was the reasoning behind
We don't
that?
know.
Don't you know they can't talk about it, Natalie? Just like a woman. I can't talk about that, honey. Well, I'm going to keep asking you.
But why? Why?
We don't know. We'd love to know.
Yeah, everybody would.
We'd love to know.
Everybody would. I mean, here you've got you guys, RW Arms. I mean, your business has been punished because of this. People have been punished. So now if I don't even have a rifle, but I just happen to have a bump stock that's not on a rifle in my possession,
That's a machine gun now.
I
It
can
is.
get fined and go to jail for a felony for just owning the piece of plastic that's not attached to a gun.
$250,000 fine and up to 10 years in prison.
Yeah. Yeah. See, that's why I slapped Party Foul in the mouth. I was like, dude, look. He's like, we could just bury him out in the backyard, right? And I'm like, no, we can't.
They would last forever.
I love
though.
my rectum the size it is. I don't want to go to prison.
We would never give anyone advice to not follow the law. We've been on the white side of a black and white line all along.
Sure
we're
you
going
have.
to continue to be. And that's one of the reasons we're fighting the way we are.
I even got Mark I got Mark drunk in Vegas, and I was trying to pull information out of him, and he's like, "You're going to have to sign this non-disclosure agreement before you even sit in my presence here at the Aria Bar."
I want you to tell us how you turned them all in at once. How did you go through that process? You turn them in at, where'd you turn those in at, and how did that go?
So pretty interesting. We were approached by the ATF. They were fully aware of how many we had in inventory.
Yeah.
And they were struggling is probably the wrong word. They weren't set up to handle the logistics of it. Well, essentially, we're a online retailer distributor. That's what we do. We handle all the logistics, all of our suppliers, distribution, wholesale. So we were already set up for it. So we already had the trucks rented. We had an agreement with American Recycling. They're in Fort Worth, and they took them all in. We recycled all of them. We didn't destroy them for the sole purpose of destruction.
Yeah.
We recycled them there at American Recycling. So the American Shredder is on the backside, and they took them and lifted them all in with grappler cranes and crushed them all. So
Wow.
we never turned anything over to the ATF. ATF escorted us as our drivers took them over to, and we had them destroyed under their watch. So essentially, at that point they were technically felonies.
Yeah.
So
Is that a creepy feeling?
it was pretty strange. It was especially strange when they asked us to postpone it one more day. We were ready to do it on Monday when it would all been legal.
Yeah.
And they asked us to postpone it one day,
Oh God.
put it off to Tuesday. That was a little nerve wracking. Let's just say that.
10 years for each bump stock. You're gonna be in there for a while.
Your rectum will never be the same.
No, we did everything we could to avoid that for sure.
That's crazy. I mean, that really is. I mean, that this. And again, I've always said any country boy knows how to use a belt loop or a rubber band to do the same thing. And it's just this looking for some place to put blame on an object. I've never understood this mindset.
I can go one step farther with that. This guy right here can bump fire almost anything out there with no bump stock. He's been in the business now how many years?
10 years.
10 years since bump stocks were originally patented. And we continue to say that bump firing is not going away. That cat is out of the bag. People know about it. People know about belt loops and everything else. But a bump stock is actually the safest way to bump fire. It requires you to hold the firearm firmly with both hands. Everything else, you have to hold it loosely.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, I can't hit anything with a bump stock.
So let
I
me
tried a
ask
few
you,
months ago about at the range. I was like, let me do this again. Let me see. Nope, can't hit it.
if they're considered a machine gun now, can they be serial numbered and registered as and sold as a machine gun and legally be owned?
So as this was all coming about, we knew there were several different scenarios. One was clearly that happened with the AutoSeer years ago. That was the closest thing we've ever seen, something that was an accessory or component. It's completely legal. And then through a rule change or legislation, either one, became illegal for ownership. And they had, I believe it was a 2-year registration period where they had to be serialized, go file.
Yeah.
Was it 2 years?
I think so. I'm not for sure though.
So that was the closest thing. So we knew that was an option. So that's another reason that we did wait until the 11th hour.
Yeah.
To have to destroy these.
Yeah.
Well, that and because Gun Owners of America was still fighting, and Firearms Policy Coalition, they're still fighting for the Second Amendment, which we were trying to hold out for as long as we could.
Sure.
Because we're supporting those guys, hoping that they were going to get something done.
What do you think the chances are of getting restitution, for lack of better terms? I mean, of the federal government coming back and saying, "Hey, we're willing to pay for this policy, and you guys are out all of this merchandise, these items, these manufactured items that cost you money."
I think when everything was written, they didn't realize how much inventory was still on the market.
Yeah.
And I think if they could have redone it a different way, they probably would have. I think at this point, it's a pretty clear takings, Fifth Amendment takings suit.
Well, even their estimation of how many are out there, I think DOJ was saying between 500,000 or 600,000. We know it's probably closer to 1 to 1.2 million.
Yeah. There's none at my house, DOJ.
There's
None at my house.
There's no record of sales of
No.
bump stocks.
No, and that's the other thing. The privacy of our clients is paramount to our long-term success. I mean, that goes without saying.
Mhm.
There are no serial numbers. There's no requirement for any kind of list, for lack of a better term. There's no
Well, I mean,
registration.
you're not
but-
buying. If I go out and buy a magazine, there's no record of.
But
me
now, if you go
buying-
buy a machine gun,
Yeah.
which now these are classified as,
Yeah.
then you would have to. So, no, we don't know what's going to happen. We don't think the wording is in its final stages. It's going to be interesting to see where things go.
Yeah.
I'm seeing this lawsuit actually populate in the news as we're speaking.
Yeah.
Right now, just from the Dallas Morning News, and it's growing from there. Buckle up.
When did y'all come out with the press release?
As we walked in the studio,
Just today.
Yeah.
So you just today came out with
we were
the thing.
our
Yeah.
first stop. Let's
Yeah.
say.
Well, let's look at it. I want us to look at it here because this is a breaking deal. So, Fort Worth, Texas, April 8th, 2019. Fort Worth-based retailer RW Arms Ltd. has filed a federal lawsuit seeking monetary damages for the fair market value of 73,436 bump stocks it destroyed in compliance with the bump stock ban that went into effect on Tuesday, March 26th. The ban, which was enacted by the Trump administration, reclassifies bump stock devices as machine guns, therefore subject to regulation, part of the Gun Control Act of 1968. The rule requires that previously lawful owners destroy or surrender the device without compensation or be subject to a penalty of up to 10 years in federal prison and $250,000 in fines for each violation. Now, if that don't piss you off, it should. RW Arms joins retailer The Modern Sportsman in suing the federal government for this taking without just compensation. The lawsuit alleges that the regulation, which forces lawful owners to destroy or surrender the device, is a physical taking of their property without just compensation in violation of the Fifth Amendment of the United States Constitution. Their case captioned The Modern Sportsman et al. Versus United States was filed on March 29th, Court of Federal Claims, Washington, D.C. Yeah. And then you got the quote, without legislation, the government was able to overturn the previous ruling on bump stocks, effectively turning law-abiding gun owners into felons overnight. Listen, and that's real stuff, man. I mean, that's real stuff. I mean, you immediately become just as, did you hear about the story? Where was a guy in California who came in and tried to turn in like 12 of his guns and they arrested him on 12 felony counts because he was trying to do the right freaking thing?
No, I did not.
In California. That happened a couple of weeks ago. I mean, this, if you think this doesn't affect you, I mean, all of a sudden you're going to go to prison for things you didn't even realize you were breaking the law over, because you got a bump stock accessory, you got an extra thumb. Yeah. See, here's the thing that people don't realize, and I piss people off when I say this, but that's okay. I'm okay to piss you off. So listen to me when I say it again because it's the truth. Donald Trump, who, look, I'm great with Donald Trump. He is what he is. I think that the man's done a great job as president in terms of the things he's gotten done. He's got the foot and mouth disease, and he's going to say things crazy all the time. But we all say things crazy all the time because we're crazy. And so here's the thing. Donald Trump is not a Republican. He is not a super conservative. He is a moderate person who is just left of center. Just left, not right, left of center. And they hate him so much on the true left that they've gone bonkers trying to go off the reservation just to prove how far right he is. Donald Trump is not far right. All you got to do is look at his policies. He's not far right. And this is one of them where I have massively disagreed with the man. And I'm telling you, Mr. President, I love you. But we got to switch this back. I mean, this thing is crazy. This is nuts. This is a slippery slope when it comes to the U.S. Constitution.
We talk about this all the time. We're truly on the front lines of the Second Amendment. If we're first, then who's next? If we lose this fight, then the fight shifts to someone else.
Yeah.
Who is that going to be? We'll still be there to support them too.
Yeah.
But this is our fight. This is why we're fighting. We're fighting for everyone who believes in the Second Amendment. And no matter how much we talk, if we can be blue in the face, if we can discuss this with some people and know there are some people out there at the end of the day that will never believe that one simple part of the Second Amendment that says shall not be infringed.
Yeah.
To us, it's vital.
Mm-hmm.
To other people, they don't believe that should be even thought about or noticed.